Hello and welcome to episode 19 of One Game at a Time, nearly at 20 already. It has flown by, as has the season, and to discuss what has happened in the past week, I'm joined by a very special panel of people, starting with Mark Talbot. Mark, how are you?
Good evening, Seb. How are you?
I'm quite well for the first time in quite a while because he's apparently apparently actual football is more important to him. Alessio, it did pay off, to be fair.
Yeah, it did. This week at least. I mean, the last couple of weeks have been good as well, team-wise. But yeah, it's been good. Glad to be back. Glad to actually be able to write some predictions and not do them while I'm at work.
And finally, as always, on to David Grant, David, of course, big game tomorrow against Switzerland.
Yeah, been a bit down all week. Didn't have a very good weekend, what with us losing 5-1 to Deutschland, but maybe we can make it back tomorrow. But I've never felt so flat in such a long time.
You're still choosing to have the German flag up?
It's not their fault we lost.
Mark seems to be just having some internet issues, so we'll continue on for the time being. David, we'll go on to the big news, which is the Australia Cup draw, but David, we'll start with you for the time being. Your pick is a big one.
My pick is a big one because my pick is the best game that I've seen in a very long time in the local game. And it was the 6-6 draw between Sturt and Adelaide City at Carina Reserve on Friday night in the pouring rain, and it wasn't bitterly cold, but it was cold enough. I was up in the scaffold 4 or 5 metres up in the Shugley scaffold, and I was watching an Adelaide City side that were coming into the game off the back of a big win last week, playing a Sturt side that haven't scored in 7 rounds. I think it's nearly 2 months. And the game started as we kind of expected. Grace Abbey scored for Adelaide City in the second minute. Actually, it's the first minute, but it's listed here as being as the second minute. And then not 60 seconds later, Chelsea Dauber made it 2-0 for Adelaide City. So I think it was credited as being scored in the third minute. Here it comes in, a ball from the corner. And a wee tap in from close range. And then on 14 minutes, Grace Abbey scored her second of the night to make it 3-0. You see the ball coming in here, and then it's in. Now, about 30 minutes, and I don't know if that's in the highlights, but at about 30 minutes, Adelaide City had a chance to go 4-0 up. Shot from the edge of the box. It's not coming up. But that would have changed the game completely, I think. 4-0, I think, would have been just insurmountable. But Sturt kind of came back into it a little bit. So that's the 14-minute mark. This is maybe the shot here. Ball placed into the middle here. I think that's Gilchrist, edge of the box, and that's saved. So that kept it at 3-0. And I think if that had gone in, I think it would have been all over Red Rover. And then Sturt sort of came into it a little bit. They scored a goal, pulled one back. Kurumi Saito made it 3-1 in 35 minutes. And then, lo and behold, in 37 minutes, Kaylee Wakeling pulled another one back to make it 3-2. And then that's the goal coming up now to make it 3-2. And I sort of felt that Adelaide City, if you look at them at the back there, they're all at 6s and 7s. They're at the back, they were all over the place, and they didn't have the pace at the back to deal with the pace that Sturt had up front. They were also not so good under pressure, Adelaide City. I felt when Sturt went up and pressed on them, they kind of they weren't so good when they were under pressure. Gave the ball away a little bit needlessly, especially in midfield. Ali Atkins had a decent enough game. She kind of salvaged a bit in the midfield for them, but City just weren't very good, to be honest. So that's Brooke Porridge, I think, scoring in the 46th minute to make it 3-3. And then we went in, had a cup of tea and came back out for the second half. And the second half kind of resumed where the first half had started. So Valerie Guayardo, who'd started off on the bench, she had come on. And she scored on 46 minutes and on 55 minutes. So all of a sudden, Adelaide City, that's how they are. Adelaide City had restored their 2-goal buffer. They were in a 5-3 lead. She started on the bench, but had scored 2 goals the week before. So I'm not sure why she started the bench. I heard she might have had an injury, but I'm not sure. Either way, she came on, made the difference. She scored there, we tap in there to make it 5-3. And you can see the rain starting to absolutely pour it down. So we assumed that was... that would be the way it finished. There was only sort of 20 minutes to go and City were cruising. But then Sturt played their disruptive game of football again, and they pulled one back just there to the near post. And that was Yamada, the Japanese girl, to make it 5-4. Is it 5-4 now? Where's the scoreline? Yeah, 5-4. And then City got the penalty, went 6-4 up. Nicely converted, right enough. And then Sturt, in the last 20 minutes, just dominated and just made a bit of a wreck of City. Kaylee Wakeling pulled one back in the 78th minute, so there's 12 minutes to go. Straight through the middle. City's defence all at seas. And then Kurumi Saito scored an equaliser in the 84th minute. And Sturt could have won it with the last kick of the game, to be honest. Oh, it's just magic. So it was. So that made it 6-5.
Belting down with rain, wasn't it?
Oh, soak. Yeah, absolutely soak. I don't know how we managed to salvage the equipment. This was a sort of chance for City, but they fluffed it. Well, it was a good save, right enough, and then they fluffed that chance. But of course, City weren't that great at the back, I didn't think, or in midfield. But here comes the equaliser with about 6-7 minutes to go. You listen to our voices here, we're really quite excited about it all. And then, with it just right at the end, Sturt had a chance to win it. From here, cross in, keeper flaps at it, drops it, breaks, and just pushed wide. That would have been a Sturt win, 7-6. So a phenomenal game. It really was. Well done, girls. It was a great game to watch. I mean, I know City came away with it. They probably weren't that happy. It wasn't their kind of night. But look, from our perspective, just on a Friday night, soaking wet, sitting up in the scaffolding in the wind and the rain and everything, and just to watch that game. It was great, just the way it flowed. It was great that Sturt managed to get something out of it, a side that had come in bottom of the table, and he just had been written off, I think, by pretty much everyone, including myself and probably us in our tips. And they shocked us all, but it was a great game of football, so loved it. That's my pick of the week.
You and Johnny
Oh, aye.
were in great
Oh, aye.
spirits afterwards, weren't you?
Yeah. Actually, we had a really good night because we went up to the club rooms after, and I caught up with John van der Vieken and a few of those people I've known for a few years, and he gave me beer and pizza, so I was very happy. And as you can see, the equipment's all safely housed in its little box there. So
good to see.
Yeah, we got wet, but the equipment's all right. No, great night. Really enjoyed it. It made it all worthwhile to get a game like that. You know, it really did. So it's the best game I've seen in all year, possibly in several years. It's great.
Would you think it's borderline, out of not even just the games you've commentated, one of the games of the year across all leagues? Would you say?
To my mind, yeah. I mean, what other game have we had where a side that's at the bottom of the table hasn't scored for 2 months, comes in written off, and they're 3-0 down in 10, 15 minutes, and then they avoid going 4-0 down, and then all of a sudden they pull 3 goals back. So it's 3-3 at half time. And then they're written off again. It's 5-4, 10 minutes, 50 minutes into the second half. And then they pull a couple of goals back and finishes 6-6. And they could have won it with the last kick of the game. That very last kick of the game. But it wasn't just that. It was also about sort of watching City and seeing a side that's on the rise and playing against a very poor side. And I just thought City were really slow at the back. When they were under pressure, they gave the ball away needlessly. I think midfield, I don't know how many times they just lost the ball sort of really in an unforced kind of way. As I say, Ali Atkins did well. I think she rescued her midfield a little bit, but the others in midfield were guilty of giving the ball away when it seemed easier to retain it. And I think I said at the time that I thought Sturt played a sort of scrappy game, but I think a scrappy game might have been a tactic because Adelaide City could play what I imagine they normally play, which is a free-flowing passing game of football, and they couldn't do it against Sturt because Sturt just disrupted them. But yeah, look, I've talked long enough. It was a great game to watch, and I would put it up there as probably the best game that I've seen in a long time. I mean, if you can think of another game where it's finished 6-6 and the bottom team who hasn't scored for months scores 6 in one game, you can make a note of it for next week.
I think it's definitely something to discuss at the end of the season when we get towards the end of it. What is our game of the year that we thought was the most entertaining, best goals? I think it's definitely a discussion to be had later on. We'll go on to I guess the most recent news. I'll go on with my pick. We just had the Australia Cup draw. We'll go through all the fixtures, including the South Australian teams. Starting off with, South Australian team involved in this one, Moreton City Excelsior against Campbelltown City. So that's an away trip for Campbelltown to Queensland. NWS Spirits versus Glenorchy Knights. O'Connor Knights versus MacArthur FC of the A-League. Perth Red Star versus Lions FC. Melbourne Servia of VPL 2 against our own Modbury Jets. Another away game for our SA sides. Olympic FC versus RPL Lightcart. Brisbane City versus Western Sydney. Heidelberg United versus Central Coast, which will look to be a great game, to be honest. Olympic Kingsway versus Edgeworth. Oakley Cannons versus Sydney FC, a repeat of last year. South Melbourne versus Wellington Phoenix. Blacktown City versus Adelaide United, a former player in there, Alessio, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about. Lambton Jaffers versus Melbourne Victory. Rockdale Illingdon versus the winner of Newcastle Jets versus Western United, which is played in about 5 days' time. Brisbane versus Perth, again, another game that will be played quite soon against Melbourne City, and Darwin Hearts versus Hume City. Gentlemen, we'll start off by talking about our South Australian sides. What are we looking forward to most out of those ones? No one excited at all then. Oh, that's cool. We can go on to something else.
Well, that's what I feel I've already talked for a little bit this morning, or this afternoon,
this morning,
or tonight, whatever it is. Yeah. I've already talked a lot already, but I can quickly say that, look, Magic the Cup, all away games, unfortunately, would have been great if we'd had one game here. I'm grateful that the South Australian sides didn't draw each other in any of them, but that's all really. That's what's immediately sprung to my mind. They didn't draw against each other, but it's unfortunate we don't have a home game to go to.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, look, I think it's probably the fact that they're all away. I know the players would probably love the away trip, but they'd probably prefer the away trip to a A-League club, just so that they can play an A-League club. But that's obviously later because you can't draw. If you draw an A-League club, it's always at home. But look, I don't think the teams are going to matter too much. I think Modbury, when they played it a few years back, they were away in the first round. It went really well for them. So I don't think it's going to matter too much to the clubs from the fact that performance-wise, it's not going to hinder them at all. I think they'll still go out there. And I think, to be honest, I think all three teams have probably got a good chance to go through. So hopefully in the next round, which will be, round of 16, they will get another good run and hopefully get through that round of 16 as well.
Yeah, I was looking forward to the Adelaide United game against Blacktown. One of the cult heroes of Adelaide United in the past, Danny Choi. He's back for Blacktown. He had a stint overseas in Portugal, but he's come back to the MPL there, and he's been unreal. I mean, you could probably compare him to some of the great names in our local leagues like your Buccos, Mullins, etc. back in about 2014, 15, and also had some great memories in the Australian Cup. I'm pretty sure he scored a 72-metre goal for Blacktown in the Australian Cup from his own half, and took his team to extra time. I think it was against Sydney United back in the day. But yeah, he's a massive player in those leagues, and I hope he does enough maybe to convince us to sign him again. He only came here on an injury replacement deal for Marcelo Carusca in about 2016. Hit the post on his debut against Melbourne Victory, and then Carusca recovered quicker than usual, so only spent about 4 games here. But yeah, he's a fantastic player, proper winger, left footer as well. So I'm just keen to see what he does, and maybe he'll make Adelaide United pay for not signing him for longer.
I'm muted. Yep, I know it. I'm muted. What were you say, David?
Oh, no, that was just... There you go.
Okay. My next question, naturally, I guess, is 3 from 3, do we think? Confidently?
To be honest, I don't really know much about a lot of these other teams.
I'd say 2 are definitely. But
which 2?
The MPL ones.
Really?
Is probably the most up in the air if you look at the form fixtures and the teams.
I think your dog does not agree with you, Alessio.
Yeah, doesn't agree.
I can understand. I can understand where Alessio is saying about in the fact that the MPL clubs are a little bit more settled. They'll be obviously coming off the back of this season when they start playing. So I can understand where he's coming from there. And obviously Adelaide United is very much up in the air at the moment. We've lost players, haven't had a lot of signings in at this stage. Obviously they've signed Goodwin. But I think that's probably where Alessio is coming from. And to be honest, if that is the case, I tend to agree with them. Adelaide United's a little bit up in the air, a little bit uncertain around the club at the moment. Obviously the Dutch fellas come in as well. So I think it's just that air of uncertainty around the club at the moment and what happens with the players.
Your point, basically, Alessio. I was going to say your point before your dog.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I think the other 2 are, if you look at their form in the table and stuff, coming up against a team.
I don't know what that was. There might be an issue with Mark. I think that was. Yep. Okay. It's a that's a Mark issue. For some reason, his microphone has stopped working. We'll move on. Just I guess final thing. Out of I guess the non-South Australian teams, what games are we looking forward to seeing in the cup? Personally, I think Heidelberg versus Central Coast will be a very good one to look forward to. Oakley Cannons versus Sydney, and even South Melbourne versus Wellington. Those MPL A-League games always look to deliver.
Yeah, I tend to forward. Yeah, I was just going to say the same. Even Olympic FC versus Upper Leichhardt, 2 high-performing teams in both of their MPLs. Probably Rockdale Illingdon as well. I think they're top of the league in MPL New South Wales as well. And South Melbourne, who we just saw on the live stream, haven't been in the competition as much as you'd expect for a massive team like them. But playing against a high-flying Wellington team will be a good game as well.
Yeah, all of these NPL sides or non-A-League sides against an A-League side, especially if they're hosting. So South Melbourne, Wellington, that interests me a little bit. I used to go along and watch South Melbourne a little bit. I lived along from the ground when I lived in Melbourne in the 90s, and so I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I'm looking forward to that. But any of these others, we've got a non-A-League side, especially if they're hosting an A-League side, Brisbane City and Western Sydney and so on. Looking forward to hearing more about Lambton Jaffas as well. That's a great name. That's my favourite name. I actually looked them up. They've got they have Nikolai Topper-Stanley playing for them, as well as Ben Kennedy, the goalkeeper. They both play for Lambton Jaffas, and their crest is an odd mix of the Scottish Thistle and the Manchester United crest. With a piece of Latin writing underneath it. I can't find immediately where the name Jaffas comes from. Lambton is the area, but Jaffas I have not been able to quickly find where that name comes from. Hoping it's got something to do with cakes. Yeah, there's the crest there.
There's the crest. It is a bit Man United like, actually.
Manchester United with a thistle in the middle, but I don't know what capiti non captivos means. Not sure what that means. It's maybe Latin or something.
That does sound like your type of job to research that, David. Capitulation,
not capturation.
Is it?
No, I don't know. It sounds like it could be though.
Yeah, I believed it. Okay. Test. We'll see if Mark's back or if he gives us an earache again. Mark, you may unmute yourself. He is not fixed. he is not fixed.
He's not fit for duty.
No. What a mess. What else? Unless you'll go on to your pick while we wait for Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about recent news coming out today. Hossein Bility, who was a youngster from Croydon Kings, who played quite a few games here, even in the senior side as well. And I'm pretty sure he was part of their last championship winning side in 2017. And also played in some grand finals prior and post to that. But he's obviously made the move. He first went to FC Midtjylland, who are a Champions League side where our Mabil was part of.
Scored in the Champions League for him as well, actually.
Yeah, but Hossein Bility was mostly with the under-19 team, but he played in that the youth league, the young
UEFA Youth League,
youth league for them. Had another couple of loans, and recently in 2022 signed for the side Mafra, who's in the Portuguese league, and just recently he came to Brisbane Roar on loan. So his first Australian team at the professional level, at least, and he still represents the Australia Olyroos as well, under 23s, quite consistently. So good to see him back in the Australian leagues, and it's a centre back to look forward to.
Absolutely a player. Definitely keep an eye on. Okay, we'll test again. Mark Talbot, can you hear us? Can we hear you? No, we cannot. I guess just
do you want to know where the Jaffas name?
Yeah, pad for time.
Yeah, okay. So the Jaffas name, the nickname Jaffas was first used in 1978 when Ernie Lamb, so that was the coach, had to differentiate between a newly formed all-age and the second division senior club. So it was a nickname that they invented to differentiate between their teams in 1978. But the Jaffas are a cake or a lolly. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them or not. So
yes, they're disgusting.
I guess. Yeah, they are a little bit. They're kind of like an orange flavour, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, the worst. I don't know how you could have cake and orange. Chocolate orange is disgusting too. Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
Not for me.
So that's where the name Jaffas came from. So it was a nickname they sort of invented, I think, and there's probably a story behind that, but it's not in their. This is on their own website, so I'd say the source is fairly reliable. But that's where it came about. It was a nickname to differentiate between their teams. One was called Jaffas, and the other one's name is lost to history. We haven't filled in enough time though here, have we?
No, we haven't. Do you want to talk about Scotland at all?
I can do, yeah. So I don't know if you guys got up and watched it or not, but I was honestly so disappointed. It's the worst performance that I really can remember seeing, and I've seen a few bad ones over the years, and you don't mind losing if you're trying, but they were just so submissive, and they just made Germany look amazing. I mean, Germany are a good side, but we just assisted them, I think, in that, and it'll be interesting to see how Germany go against Hungary. But it was, honestly, I was so flat for a couple of days after. It's amazing how football can affect you if you've got a vested interest in a team. And I hope they can bounce back tonight. They play Switzerland at 4:30 in the morning, and I hope they can bounce back, even if get some pride. Having said all that, Steve Clark did say at the start of the tournament the goal was to get 4 points, and they're still on target to get that, aren't they? There's still 6 points to be had. So, all things considered, we're actually on target. We're aiming. We're still achieving what we're setting out to do. And the other piece of consolation, I suppose, I have is that, do you remember Brazil got thumped by Germany in the World Cup about 7 or 8?
Yeah, 7-1
in 2016. Well, we only lost 5-1, so I'm sort of thinking at least we're better than Brazil.
And you had a player sent off too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was
did you forget about that?
Well, I'm trying to forget about the whole evening, to be honest. But that was a horrendous tackle. So Ryan,
at least Brazil scored a goal there.
We got one. It was an own goal, but we got one.
Brazil scored there, Ryan, I guess. But
yeah. But they conceded 7. We only conceded 5, so we're one better than Brazil. So if you were to FIFA World Rank them, you'd say, well, Germany are top, Scotland are second, Brazil third. That's how I'm looking at it.
Before we try move back onto Mark, I'll ask one more question about Scotland. As you said, 4 points is the target, as stated. 3 points tomorrow or 3 points against Hungary? Are you more confident in?
Probably more. I don't know.
Because Hungary were good the other day. Hungary were good the other day.
I'm not even that confident we'll get 4 points, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they play the way they played the other day, they're not going to win any games, no doubt about it. If they can play as well as they I know they can, i.e. when they beat Spain in the qualifiers, for example, they'll beat both Switzerland and Hungary. So it depends on what Scotland turns up, which version of Scotland turns up to play those games. I think the fans have had a great time, and I think it's been good for the country to have the team back at a major tournament. Friends of mine who are there, my cousin's going with his son tonight, and it's really good for them, but I just hope it's not. Look, if they lose but they play well or they try hard, it's not so bad to take. But that was awful. It was terrible against Germany.
Well, enough padding. Mark, do we finally have you back?
Yes. Sorry about that. No idea what's going on.
On his phone, Mark.
Finally,
after padding for time.
Yeah, I am now. I'm on my phone. It's just like it was just like Saturday all over again.
Speaking of
technical issues, it's just not liking me at the moment. Just not liking me. And yes, that's a nice segue, isn't it? Straight into it. My pick of the week is the South Adelaide. For a while, it's actually their first win since the 8th of March against FK Beograd at One Solution Park. The 3-2 win that day. So yeah, their first win, and I called this game alongside Connie. And to be honest, I thought overall South deserved the win. They actually were probably the better side on the day. Played their game plan, worked to a treat, and they come away with quite a convincing 3-1 win. So I thought, yeah, overall they deserve their win on the day. So it's good to see them get the result, and hopefully now it might help them gain some confidence going into this week. I mean, they got a tough game this week, but we'll deal with that one later. And hopefully that it maybe pushes them towards getting closer to safety. They did go 1-0 down, as we just see there, but then Alex Rideout, 2 assists and a goal in the game. So big day out for Alex. Great free kick, which we saw in the goals of the week as well, which was that one there.
Scores
so overall, I just thought it's, was that?
He scores like one of those free kicks or from a corner about once a year, like really far out and wide.
Oh yeah. Well, funny enough, he actually wasn't far from scoring from a corner as well a little bit later on, but it was into the second half. But As I was saying to David, they're not far away in games. They're losing by the odd goal here and there, and I think it just finally paid off this week, and they were able to get the win. So great result for South, and like I said, hopefully it can generate some momentum for them. And I thought Donny Pollock was excellent in the midfield for them this week. So hopefully, like I said, the one thing I do want them to stay up in the league is, from a personal note, it's closer to home, so I don't have to travel too far for calling games. So, but we'll see how they go.
While I love all teams equally, I must say I can't say the same. After all the time waffling, talking about Scotland and everything, we'll finally move on to talking about the past week's results. Starting with State League 2, Adelaide Uni losing 2-1 against Mowbray Vista, Seaford losing 5-1 to Pontian Eagles, Adelaide Hills Hawks going 4-2 down to Northern Demons, Port Adelaide 3-2 winners over Gawler Eagles, and Noarlunga United losing 3-1 to Mamamano. So who wants to talk first?
I could talk a little bit about the Hawks game, because that was happening in the pitch right behind me. I was calling the Campbelltown City match at the weekend against Olympic, and I was up on the scaffold, and behind me, over through beyond the gum trees, the Hills Hawks were playing the Demons. Now, I obviously didn't watch the game because I was facing the wrong way, for example. But I heard the cheers. And I darted down there. They kicked off about 10-15 minutes after us, so there was a bit of a delay, or maybe it was half an hour actually after us. There was a bit of a delay between our game starting, so I actually caught the end of it. But I had to run off. I was doing a double header, so I had to run off because I was doing a Metro United game at TK Shutter Reserve. But with 5 minutes to go, obviously the game was the scores were locked at 2-2. I heard the first big cheer on the 75th minute when the Hawks went into a 2-1 lead. They levelled it. They were 2-1 down, and in the 75th minute they levelled it. And I thought, oh, they might get a point out of this. And I can't remember what we picked or what our predictions were for this one. We probably wrote the Hawks off, but by all accounts, they actually played all right. 5 minutes to go, conceded one, and then in the injury time, conceded a second one to lose 4-2. But there was a decent little crowd there, and I was kind of hoping for a Hawks win, not for any reason other than, Hillside and all of that, and I'm kind of wanting Hillsides to do well. But I wish they'd cut those trees down a little bit, because I could have probably watched both games, because it was a clear view without those trees in the way. I'd had a clear view back to the pitch behind me.
Alessio, we'll move on to you to talk about State League 2 and perhaps even gloat, maybe.
Oh, I wouldn't say gloat. I mean, it was a classic hit and run performance from us. I mean, I can't remember if I showed you guys the goals from the last time we played Noarlunga, where they scored one that bounced in from a corner, and the other one was our goalkeeper went to kick it out, hit the back of the player, and it went in. That was the two goals they scored against us, and they beat us at home. And we kind of beat them at their own game at their place. Two headers from a corner from our towering centre back in Alex Metanomsky, and the other one was a penalty from our ever reliable Daniel Searle. But yeah, it was just a classic game of set pieces, and one team paid off better than the other. They scored a late free kick top corner right at the end as well, so they know that they can do the same from set pieces. But otherwise, it was a well-marshalled win. Back to our old formation as well, kept it nice and tight, and yeah, it was not too bad. It was also good to see as well Noarlunga's new change room facilities as well, which is, from what I was told, they used to have some of the smallest in the state. So it was good to see that. But some results around the grounds as well. Adelaide Uni losing 2-1 to Mowbray Vista is a big, shock. The first time all season that Adelaide Uni haven't been top of the league. They've just been gone second now on goal difference. And otherwise, Gawler Eagles putting up a good account of themselves against the Port Adelaide side in the top six. So it seems like most of the teams have been quite close to the other ones in the league at the moment. And it's going to be interesting to see what this form does to the second half of the season.
Mark, we'll move on to you to talk more about SL2.
Oh, all right. Look, I think for me, the Northern Demons game, obviously, as David said, stood out for me a little bit. I was getting updates. I'm in a Northern Demons chat group where we get updates quite quickly, so that was good. But yeah, good win for them. I thought we might see a little bit more out of Seaford. They got beat 5-1 in the end by Pontians. And I think it was, going from memory, the goals came in quick succession. So Kishindi, top goal scorer in the league, scored again. Actually scored two, but they went from 1-0 down. Seaford Rangers scored early, went from 1-0 down. Pontian Eagles then scored in the 13th, 15th, and 16th minutes and to go 3-1 up. So clearly a bit of a lack of concentration there from Seaford side, and then obviously the fourth and fifth goal chasing the game at that stage, 55 and 61 minutes. So blew out a little bit in the end. But I think the other results, the other game obviously was Eastern and Cove got cancelled or postponed, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just due to the pitch up at Cove not able to cope with the amount of water that came through late last week, I think it was. So I think that's part of the reason why it was postponed. So, but as we said, as Alessio said, Ponti is now top of the table on goal difference. They got the form of the league at the moment as well. Port Adelaide, they with that win, sort of gave them that 3-point buffer over Noarlunga. But that group there, seventh, eighth, pushing for that sixth spot, and now both 3 points behind Port Adelaide. But you top two, 7 points clear of Cove in third, who have got a game in hand, obviously. But that win for Modbury really does close up that top four. So SL2 proving to be quite close. We thought Adelaide Uni might run away with it, but they're now starting to really. They've faltered a little bit, and Pontians are just firing on all cylinders. I think next week's game will be quite an interesting one for Pontians, but we'll get to that a bit later on.
Can I ask a quick question? You mentioned the Cove game was called off because of the weather. Is the Cove pitch not an artificial pitch now?
No. Cove have got three. No, they've got three pitches up there. They're all grass, and I believe, going from memory, they've actually got approvals to make a fourth pitch up there as well. So they've got the space. They never put a fourth pitch in place, and I think they've now got approvals to do a fourth pitch. But their main pitch, from what I hear, or what I heard, was that it was unable to cope with the amount of rain that we had down south last week, and so they postponed the game.
So it
is a grass. All their pitches are grass.
Right, okay. Because that was another reason that the Hawks game was played down at Campbelltown City's venues, because of the rain. I spoke to a few of the Hawks fellas as they came in.
Because of the rain, yep.
Yeah, they'd had an awful lot of rain the night before. The Friday night that Johnny and I were huddled together up in the scaffold at Carigna Reserve, there was an awful lot of rain came down. So that's why their game was moved to down to Campbelltown. Steve Woodcock.
We'll just have a final look at that State League 2 table. Pontian on top, or equal top, with Adelaide Uni, but a 10-plus goal difference on their equal side in Adelaide Uni. 32 goal difference to 22 for Adelaide Uni. Cove is the next behind in 30 points, a 7-point gap between the top two and third. Going towards the bottom, Adelaide Hills Hawks, 6 points, Gawler Eagles, 7 points, and Mount Barker United, 13 points. Climbing up the table, Alessio? Just saying. Quietly.
4 wins, Alessio. I don't think they've had 4 wins in their history.
Oh, well, I mean, we had points record last year was either 19 or 21 points. So
they've never finished. They've never finished higher than second bottom. So if you can finish third bottom, that's progress.
Yeah, I think that and the points would be a massive progress. I mean, if you get less points than last year but finish a space above, it obviously means that there's 2 worse teams in you that still you're not much better than. But we got a massive game this week against Seaford, the next team closest to us. If we win, we're going equal points with them, but their goal difference is superior. But we'll see how that goes later in the show.
Well, beneath you, Gawler are playing the Hawks as well, so that'll be interesting as well.
Absolutely. We'll go on to the Women's State League results. Modbury Jets 2-0 over South Adelaide. Modbury Vista 11-0 over Cove FC. Western Strikers only 2-1 over Fulham United. Elizabeth Grove, I'm losing my voice here. Sorry. Elizabeth Grove 3-1 loses to Campbelltown City, and Adelaide Jaguars 21-0 versus Croydon. I suppose looking at that, the shock for me is probably the 2-1 Fulham, because Fulham, in all honesty, have been struggling this season. And Western Strikers themselves are quite a good side in the WSL, and to only keep them at a 2-1 result is a fair feat.
Yep, I'd agree with you, Seb. Yep. The other thing that stands out for me in that table is that the top sides, bar Elizabeth Grove, all won, and the bottom sides all lost. So it kind of looks like the pattern, I suppose, fixes what we were sort of expecting. Elizabeth Grove did play Campbelltown. I think it was just 3-1 from memory. So I think Grove probably came away from that. I don't know. I would imagine they would have come away from that feeling that they'd probably done okay. Be interesting to see what happens with Campbelltown and Croydon next week, because that's top versus bottom, and hopefully that goes ahead. No other further comment.
Yeah, for me, it's probably the thing that I find interesting now is some of the results. Yes, we sort of expect some teams to lose, but I actually really feel for Croydon, as we know. But I actually, this week, like, I look at it and go, Western Strikers, Jaguars just beat Croydon 21-0, right? So they've got that. So Jaguars' goal difference have just gone to 67 goals for. Right. So you take off those 21 and they're down to what, 40 something, right? Western Strikers, their goals for is 20 and they've got 28 against. So what would they have beaten Croydon by to have boosted their goal difference? Because they're now, if it comes down to it, they miss out on finals or whatever based on goal difference. You've got to ask some serious questions there, because they're not -8 in their goal difference. But every other club above them, or actually every other club apart from the bottom three, right, they're all negative goal differences. Croydon, obviously, but Souths they've got a positive goal difference. But you just sort of go, hang on a sec. All those teams have played Croydon. They've all boosted their goal difference except Western Strikers. So I kind of feel for Western Strikers in that regard now, because, like I said, if they miss out on a final spot or going up, I mean, I don't think they'd go up, but you know what I mean. If they miss out on a final spot because of that goal difference, you got to ask some serious questions there. So I feel for them, and also I feel for BJ. I know he's lost a couple of players midweek as well last week, so. The loss is a little disappointing, but I think probably the good thing is that it was quite a close result, considering Modbury Jets are sitting fifth. So it's quite a close result. And like I said, they were having to deal with a couple of players who have left midweek. So be interesting to see how they go this week against Jaguars, who are obviously coming off a massive win last week. So, but I do feel for Western Strikers in this regard at the moment.
Surely the league, if it has a bearing in the outcome, the league insists that game is played, even though it's recorded currently as not being played. That surely the league insists that's played. Well, if it has a bearing.
There's other ways around it as well. Like I said, I think the fact is they should all those games against Croydon should be just put as a 3-0. Simple as that. That way, they're all, because, like I said, it's ridiculous the fact that they missed the one game, a -8 goal difference, whereas it would have been a positive for all of them. So
you cut out there for a second, Mark, but we got your point. Yeah,
I just wanted to mention as well, Modbury Vista as well, 7 wins in a row for them, so they're on track for a good season as well. And the only last loss that they had was against Campbelltown City 8 games ago, and they've obviously got a big game in Elizabeth Grove this week as well, who just lost to Campbelltown City. So I think that second and third spot is going to be very interesting to see who can make it up there for the playoff spot with the second to bottom of the WNPL.
Absolutely. Interesting conversations to be had, as always, surrounding football in general. It's definitely a discussion worth having. On to State League 1. Cumberland 1-0 over Vipers FC. Adelaide Blue Eagles 4-0 over Fulham. Sturt forcing Playford to a 1-0 draw. Adelaide Victory losing 4-2 to Salisbury United. Western Strikers losing 2-1 to West Torrens Burkalla at home. And West Adelaide 3-0 over Adelaide Ammonia Cobras. Gentlemen, again, which ones stand out for you guys?
I'll jump in here, Fly. I think the Sturt Playford game stood out for me in the fact, yes, it only finished a 1-1 draw. However, Sturt going into the game were the form team in the league, and they still are, to be honest. So I think just on that's a massive result for Sturt in the fact that they're taking Playford to a 1-1 draw, considering where they were at the start of the season, and it wasn't until 6 rounds ago. It wasn't until they sort of started it seemed like they didn't start till sort of round 9 or 10, even 8 sort of thing to actually get their season started. And now they're only 7 points from top spot. They're sitting in the 6, and they're holding Playford to a 1-1 draw. So, and they did take the lead. I mean, fortunate deflection, but you take them as they come. So for me, that game stood out. And I think the other one for me was probably the West Adelaide game. West Adelaide seem to have starting to find some form again. 2 wins on the trot now. A 3-0 win over Cobras, who are in 7th at the moment. So I think that for me is a big result. And I know that Cobras announced today that mutual agreement that them and Robbie Detroit have parted ways. So it will be. I have heard who is possibly coming in, but I won't announce that obviously because the club haven't announced anything yet. So new coach to come in to see out the rest of the season, and obviously the plan to take Cobras forward. So he's got a bit of a job on his hands, whoever comes in, to get them up the table. But I thought up until that game, Cobras weren't doing too badly. It was undefeated in 3. So it's a little bit of for me, a little bit of a surprise, but that's why I'm not in that industry. I'm not not a chairman of a club or a coach. So that was probably the other result. Like I said, West Adelaide starting to, now that their players are returning, they're starting to get their players back from injuries. Nestora scored 2, I think, on the weekend. So the fact that they're back is obviously making a big difference because they were missing, I think, 7 or 8 players from their starting 11 for a number of games. Now that they're all starting to return, obviously results are starting to turn around, and they're climbing back up the table. And I didn't see what happened there with Ashwood's setting off, but obviously that was saying a little bit behind play, some afters. But he'll serve his suspension, then come back to a Cobra side with the new coach.
Comprehensively covered, I'd say. The only thing I was just going to add was that I think West Adelaide's win has also had a little bit of a bearing on Adelaide Victory's position, because West Adelaide's win is enough to put them another 3 points away from those bottom 2 relegation spots. It's 2 that go down, right? Yep. And so West Adelaide winning that means that that's another team that is just that little bit further away from Adelaide Victory. So Victory now sitting in 10 points after their, I think it was 4-2 loss against Salisbury. Yep, 4-2 loss against Salisbury. And I think if Vipers or Western Strikers get a win this week or next week and Victory continue to lose, I think it's probably going to be enough for Victory to, I think their season's maybe done.
Yeah, saw a little thing on the goals wrap as well for the Nestoris goals. He obviously took the penalty against his former side last season, and there was a bit of people talking behind the crowd as well when he was stepping up there. But it's good to see him get back on the score sheet as well. He's been struggling a bit since he's moved to West Adelaide to get on the goal scoring sheet, but seems like Peter Katsambas has been involved quite a lot in most of their goals, and they seem to be going up and up. The new manager bounce has proved dividends for them.
Elsewhere around the grounds in State League 1, Sturt as we said, forced to a draw. Blue Eagles 4-0 over Fulham United, starting to return that form back, and Salisbury United winning 4-2 over Adelaide victory. David, all quite important results for those sides. Blue Eagles having a bit of a slump in form lately, needed that sort of win to sort of get them back on track.
Yeah, I think so. So Blue Eagles started the season well, didn't they? And they were at the top of the table and undefeated from memory for the first sort of 7 or 8 rounds, or maybe even 9 rounds, and then they went through a little bit of a wobbly phase, didn't they? But yeah, looks like they've kind of got themselves back on track now. They are hard to predict, though, aren't they? I think when we do our tipping, I said I've just a 50-50 chance, I think, with them sometimes, isn't it? Fulham, where are they now in the ladder? I've actually lost my page, but they must be down at sort of 8th. All right, okay.
Yeah,
so
down to 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, so things looking a little bit ropey down there for them. Do you think?
Well, looking at the table, it's actually quite interesting because you sort of look at it and there's already a gap again starting to form in that table. We'll look at it now. Playford, Blue Eagles, and West Torrens Burkalla look to be sort of fighting it out for that top spot for the time being. But that fourth to 9th, even 10th, is all fighting for that whole part. Salisbury, obviously, highest in 4th because of their goal difference, but it's still super tight. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is what you see with a lot of the State League One is you normally have those leagues within a league, because the top 2 or 3 will pull away, and then you have the teams battling it out for those finals positions, and that can go as low as 10th in this case, because I mean Vipers are only 3 points behind West Adelaide, but West Adelaide again are only 3 points behind Sturt and Cumberland and Salisbury. So you sort of see those leagues within a league, and so you're just sort of fighting against that group that's with you. So Salisbury, Cumberland, and Sturt are obviously in that sort of league with Cobras, Fulham, and West Adelaide, all within a game of each other. And 1 win, 2 wins can really jump you up the table. So, but those 3 teams at the top seem to be pulling away and just sort of keeping that distance. And it's just going to be a fight out for who's going to finish in that top number 1 spot.
We'll move on to the WMPL for round 11. Adelaide Uni 3-0 losers to West Torrens Burkalla. Sturt Lions, of course, 6-6 against Adelaide City. Adelaide Comets beating Salisbury Inter 4-2. Flinders United losing 3-0 to Football SA NTC. And West Adelaide winning 4-0 over Metro United. Not too many surprises this round, I guess, perhaps for that 6-6 that we already spoke about. But Adelaide Uni, their first game back with no Jenna McCormick, David.
Right, yeah, I knew you were going to ask me about the one I didn't have up on my screen. Yes, that's what happened a moment ago with the whole Blue Eagles thing. I just removed it from the screen. Anyway, look, I can talk a little bit about the women's NPL this week because I went to 2 games. So I covered on Friday night, covered the Sturt game, obviously, as we talked at length before. Massive 1 point for Sturt, getting a draw down there, takes them up to 6. They've had 3 draws now. They've had that 1 win on paper against Comets due to an error in the paperwork. But talking to the girls at Sturt after the game, they seem quite confident that they can get, maybe another 3 points here, another draw there, that sort of thing, and get themselves out of that relegation spot. So the bottom team goes down, and the second bottom team goes into a playoff with the runner-up from the State League. And as far as I understand it, no team from the State League has ever won that playoff before. So I think Sturt, from what I can gather, obviously feel a little bit confident that they can pick up a few points and enough to finish at least second bottom, and then go into a playoff rather than be the side that finishes bottom and are automatically relegated. But yes, Adelaide Uni, back to your point, a 3-0 loss against Burkalla. Probably the only game I didn't see this week, so I probably can't talk at length about it, but I can talk about Metro United and... Oh, so you brought it up.
Oh, you fooled me. You fooled me. No.
Actually, I can talk a little bit about it. I can talk a little bit about it because I thought Emily Hazelwood in this game had a great match. Didn't she have a great match? Did she score 2 or 3? And
she doesn't play for Uni. You thinking of Comets?
What game was that you flashed up? Why don't I just talk about the ones
we'll
I know about?
We'll go to the ones that you went to.
Right. So I've covered off Sturt and Adelaide City. I can now talk about Metro United and West Adelaide because I was at that game. So I was at that game as the lead commentator. I had Louise Sava alongside me for this match. She is a Sturt player, currently suffering a little bit with injury, so she's in and out of the team a little bit. But that was a Harriet Burnett's goal in the first minute and set what we thought would be the tone because West Adelaide are obviously sitting pretty at the top of the table. But having said that, Metro United actually held West Adelaide out until the 50th minute. The goal there scored by Nicole Blackett. It was a lovely through ball. I think it might even have been Burnett that played that through ball through. 2 minutes later, they get another goal. Quigley from close range stabs it home. Oh no, it's a penalty. That's right. Hayden Ingram is the player there that had been caught with a trip by the referee Lee Pryor. Penalty which Quigley took. Against let me get the name right. Ellingbang Panthoi Chanu. There we go. I just had to pause for a minute. The Indian goalkeeper. So that made it 3-1. And then Mallory Mullen, who'd scored 2 or 3 goals the week before, come on as a late substitute, scored the 4th right on the stroke of full time, really. Little stab home there with the outside of her right foot. It was a lovely goal. She made a world of difference when she came on. They really played well when she came on. She was dynamite. But what I wanted to mention was that Metro really put in a decent enough performance until Blackett scored in that 50th minute. Metro actually, their first half was okay, and they started the second half all right. But once they went those 2 and then 3 goals down in quick succession, it was kind of all over for them. But it was a nice little performance by Metro. I thought, kind of having watched Sturt the night before, I kind of had this idea in my head that they might hang on and have another shock result, but it wasn't to be. And thanks to Louis Saba for doing comms with me, and I enjoyed it. Hope she did, and maybe she'll be back for more.
Absolutely, was lovely to hear the both of you on comms. Alessio, Mark, I guess, like I said before, go back to that point. Jenna McCormick, not at Adelaide Uni for this game. A big loss for them.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually was chatting with Jason Trimboli on the weekend about Adelaide Uni, and she's actually gone for a few weeks. She's actually gone on holidays to Europe, so they've lost her for a few more weeks yet, which doesn't help them at all because she was their leading goal scorer. She'd been fantastic and flying for them, playing in the middle of the park, scoring goals. So big loss for Adelaide Uni. Hopefully they can come up with a plan now that she's not there and work way around it. But the other team that sort of worries me, or not worries me, but just surprising me a little bit is Flinders United. They seem to have dropped the ball a little bit lately. They're now down to 8th. They're still on 12 points, so they're not. They're still 3 points clear of Uni, but they lost to Football SA NTC. We always kept praising them about their never say die attitude, but at the moment it's just not quite enough at the moment, and they've lost 3 on the trot now. So a little bit worried that they're getting pulled in, and an absolute cracker there from Stella, long way out. But yeah, just a little bit worried that they're going to get dragged into hopefully not a relegation battle, but they're just sort of getting a little bit too close. And I think Joel will be a little bit just keeping his eye over his shoulder there.
And I think that's what, just sorry to go back to Sturt again, but I think that's what the Sturt girls are looking at as well. They're looking at these teams above them slipping up. Salisbury Inter, Metro United, Flinders, Adelaide Uni, they all lost. And I think they're thinking, if we can get another 3 points here or there, another single draw here or there, then we can finish second bottom and avoid that automatic relegation. And Sturt will be looking at those results that Flinders have and Adelaide Uni have with keen interest.
Looking at the table, yeah, I know, thank you. Looking at the table for the WMPL going into, a break for this week. West Adelaide top. Where's my table? West Adelaide top with 28 points. Adelaide Comets following behind, and then another gap, quite clear, 9 points behind Football SA NTC. And then from, again, third to about eighth, really. Even you could count Adelaide Uni and Sturt in that mix for this time being. So third to last, really. It's a mixed bag about who's going to finish where at this point of the season.
Sturt have got it's the women's it's the cup this week for the women, isn't it? And Sturt are in that.
Yes,
Sturt are still in that
against NTC.
Yeah.
Definitely one to look forward to. We'll talk about that cup game later on. We'll move on to the men's NPL. Going on to starting with Adelaide Croatia Raiders, a 3-1 loss, to South Adelaide. Adelaide United nearly completing a comeback once again against Croydon, but just falling short. A 4-3 loss. Campbelltown 3-2 winners over Adelaide Olympic. Para Hills Knights 2-2 against the Adelaide Comets. And FK Beograd beating Adelaide City 1-0. And also, I actually forgot to write this one down, actually, it seems. Modbury 1-1 against Metro with a red card apiece, which was quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, I was on this game with Connie. It was a fantastic night. It wasn't too cold, which I would have expected there at Modbury Jets, especially a night game on a Friday. It was raining a bit before kickoff, but I really had high hopes for Metro Stars. I was watching their warm-up just before kickoff, and I don't think I saw them miss the target once. And most of those finishes came from that man, Nagamatsu, that had a little kick out there on Mullen. Didn't seem to react that much, but as it was right in front of the assistant referee, Jaden Betterman, in fact, he obviously saw that and told the referee that it was a blatant kick out with the studs, and he was sent his marching orders. There was a few more clashes during the game, which you could see it was heating up a bit. And obviously in that mix and debacle there, Mullen was tussling with Nagamatsu most of the first half. So straight after, he got a yellow card in that previous thing, and then he side down Cittadini there, and he was also sent off. But there was a few other incidents in the game which went unchallenged. There was a Cittadini one right in front of us on the touchline, which looked like a kick out as well, but had nothing doing. And then absolute rocket from Captain Fantastic Francesca. I think was it the podcast last week? You guys were saying if he scores penalties only, or maybe that was somewhere else.
I didn't say that. Thank you very much. Who said that?
No, I said he's Mr. Reliable from the penalty spot.
Yeah, but yeah, when he scores, it seems like I think last year as well, he scored a few Carl's Junior contenders as well. One at Service FM comes to mind, but it just seemed like they could stay in the game. I mean, when it was 10v11, I honestly thought Metro were going to have the upper hand. They seemed to play better with less players. Anyway, they were still going to try and play their game, while with a man advantage for about 5 minutes or so, Modbury Jets seemed to still have a back four with a 6, 2 wide players, and then 2 up top, something like that. So I think Metro Stars were still going to try and play through them, even if they had less men. But when obviously Modbury Jets went down as well, then the game kind of opened up a bit, had a few more chances. Skamitsi missing a golden chance to win it for them. But yeah, obviously some great strikes from outside the box.
When I was at Metro United on the Saturday night, Ren Nagamatsu was doing laps of the pitch next to, the grass pitch next to TK Shutter's synthetic surface. Just running around, just doing laps. He had a little radio or something in the middle of the park, but I wasn't sure if it was maybe a punishment. It's hard to tell, but there he was, just running around. I felt quite sorry for him. He was all by himself, poor guy.
Should have joined him, David.
Well, I would have, but I've actually got a story I'll tell you at the very end about my running. I was out last night having a run, so you must remind me to tell you about that. Yeah,
I look
we digress otherwise.
David, we'll keep on with you. In the words of Jason Derulo at Campbelltown, you were riding solo.
I was. That's right. So I'm not on the ball tonight, am I? So I was at Campbelltown and Olympic. That's right. So Davy No Mates was up in the scaffold by himself, but I was quite happy there in my own company. Game of 2 halves. Campbelltown came out firing in the first half. Through ball there for Matsumoto to score after about 10 minutes. He put it away lovely. I'm not sure who he's celebrating with here. See this? Who's that, do you think? Anyway, 10 minutes later, Mark Marino and Alex Mullen played a 1-2-3-4, and then Mullins, look at that for a shot. That's got to be goal of the week. That's a cracker. It's just the poise, the technique.
I don't think it
curl.
was.
Was that
I don't
in?
think it
Was that
was.
in goals of the week?
I don't think it was.
Oh, how did it not?
It
I'll have
wasn't.
to.
Jeez.
It wasn't goals of the week, but I don't know that it's won it or not. But anyway, it was an absolute beauty,
It
and I
was.
was behind it, saw it as it curled in. So a lovely shot, but gosh, he just looks magnificent, doesn't he? He's a fine specimen of man, isn't he? And then they scored a third. Mark Marino volley at the back post, slid in from across. It might have been Matsumoto again on the left-hand side. Lovely finish. Campbelltown were completely in control when we got to half-time. And Olympic looked like the side that were sitting bottom, or not bottom, but in that lower region. But then Olympic came out a different team in that second half. Little flick on by T-Boy Kamara through to James Pawley to score with his left foot. It was a very muted celebration. Olympic didn't have a lot of fans there. Plus, it was obviously just 3-1 at that point. So it was quite a quiet celebration. And then with about 5-10 minutes to go, they got another one. Can't remember how this one played out. It was a substitute, Sarkani. No, it was the substitute Sarkani with a header at the back post, which set up an exciting sort of last 5-6 minutes. I mean, a bit of injury time as well, so we probably still had 10 minutes to go at that point. So Olympic certainly came out the blocks. That was Mark Marino with Toriani with a shot just at the end. Didn't quite come off as blocked, and full time. Daniel Faulkner was the referee there. He had a good game. Blew the whistle for full time, and that was it, sort of thing. But very much a game of two halves, and Campbelltown a little bit lucky, I think, to sneak away with the win. But that win does take them up to 4th and keeps them just 2 points behind the top side. The top side changes every week in this league, doesn't it? It's Modbury currently, but it has been Metro Stars and Comets over recent weeks. But Campbelltown are right there on their heels. But Adelaide City, that's the other one I wanted to talk about. Can I talk about that one, or was that yours, Seb?
No, that wasn't mine. That was Johnny's. Yeah, no one cares. Have Johnny's. Go for it.
Well, Adelaide City, again, the form side in the table, that's them had another win, a 1-0 win against FK Beograd, which I don't think it moved them up the table, did it? Because they're now 5th. Were they 6th before the night? Can't remember. But they're the side. They're on fire, and I'm keenly looking forward to watching their game this weekend. I've put my name down for that one, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if they can continue that role. They've got Croatia Raiders at City Park. Win that, and if a couple of teams above them slip up, we're going to have 5 teams all within a few points of each other, literally 3 points of each other potentially. I think that's me dominated enough. Next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
We had Adelaide United versus Croydon on the Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. I had that with Ben Dale. It was a lovely experience as always. Again, that first half, sort of a game of two halves, really. Croydon looking the much better side in the first half, really dominating, a lot different to those other comebacks which Adelaide United have had in comebacks, come losses, whatever you call them, the past few weeks. But it was more the second half that really changed. Ryan White was really the standout in the second half for the Reds, really changed the game for them. And really probably is what kept them in the game for quite a period of time. A great header there from Adam Martinello. But again, Croydon against Adelaide United, 2 of those at the moment lower ranked teams facing off against each other. As I said, just going to second half, Ryan White there with a goal was a big contributor in that match for me. Probably one of my standouts for Adelaide United at least. And then they got that goal through Joey Garuccio, which was probably, if not a goal, probably could have been a penalty. In the end, there was a tussle, a little bit on tussle, sort of a coming together. I don't know if it was caught on live stream, but I can't remember who the player was. But there was a player that actually I suppose left the field of play is a way to put it. He was not pushed. Sorry, I can't say pushed. I'm not quite too sure what happened.
I watched the game, Seb.
Yes, he was.
I watched
he was
the game. He was
maneuvered over
pushed
the
over
fence.
the barrier.
he was
shoved
maneuvered
unceremoniously
over
the barrier.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. No foul or anything in the end. Happy to play on, really slight tussle. But yeah, an interesting game. Another high scoring game for the Reds, scoring a lot, conceding, and I suppose that's just going to be the story of the rest of their season.
I just got a quick thing. I just seen it on my live updates. We were talking about earlier in this podcast about the Australia Cup games as well, and Rockdale Illingdon have a big game. I think they have RPM, or maybe they have MacArthur actually. But just come up, they're playing a game tonight against Marconi Stallions. And as we did mention that Rockdale were top of the league, they're currently losing 7-0 to Marconi Stallions, who are sitting 5th in NPL New South Wales. And Dom Costanzo had a first half hat trick, and Temulkovsky has a goal as well. There's still 15 minutes to go. So I just seen that on YouTube Live, and we'll talk about our league, how ridiculous it is at the top tables, but NPL New South Wales seems to just be following the same.
I think you can only compare if they come back to draw 7-7, I think, at this rate. I think we found out. Mark, we'll go on to you for, I guess, these last two, a draw between Para Hills and Comets, and then also your game between Adelaide Croatia Raiders and South Adelaide, which you did talk about. Of course, we'll try to talk about the game and not about the technical issues, Mark.
Yep, no, it sounds good. So Para Hills, obviously, great result for Para Hills to come out with a 2-2 draw. Obviously, they're sitting in 7th spot, so I think Theo will probably be disappointed because they took the lead so late through an absolute cracking Cairo Felix goal. So Harrison Connon got the game rolling for Para Hills. Great finish there. He's been great pickup for Para Hills this year. Obviously moved from Mobbery last year. Augustus Williams back in for Comets and utilising his pace there to get into some open space. But it's not a bad, good late equaliser, like 76th minute. But then, like I said, Cairo Felix coming up trumps with I think a goal that was in the goal of the week count. As you can see here, just dances past two players and then a great finish into the roof of the net to beat Torrenson, who has that's the first start for the season. Obviously, I think Vaughan may have possibly pulled up a little sore from the cup game midweek, so Torrenson put the gloves back on, and then Labasso popping up in I think the 89th minute to score the equaliser. So I think Para Hills could probably feel a little bit hard done, but when you're scoring the 86th minute, you're kind of hoping that's game done. But one thing we've learned, Comets won't give up this year. They're doing quite well this year. They've scored a few late goals. So, but yeah, overall, I think, like I said, I think Para Hills probably feel a little bit hard done by scoring so late. And then obviously I covered the South Adelaide Raiders game with Connie. It was great to jump on the comms with Connie for a change and as our first game. Like I said earlier, I think South Adelaide probably were deserving winners. I think one thing I did notice, this is young Trimboli's goal. It's a typical Trimboli finish, to be honest, just like his father, as I said in the comms, on the left boot, and he's put it away. He had one a bit later on his right foot that he missed, and I saw him after the game, and he was devastated that he'd missed one on his right. And I was like, mate, you'll miss a lot more than you'll score over your lifetime. So, but that's something he'll learn as he progresses with his game and things like that. Obviously, we saw the first one a little bit scrappy there, and then Alex Rideout steps up and somehow squeezes that between the keeper and the post. So great finish there from Alex Rideout on the left. But you kind of come to expect those types of things from him these days. Great set piece taker and things like that. And like I said, he almost scored from a corner a little bit later on in the second half. So, but like I said, South had a game plan. They stuck to it. And Donovan Pollock there, it's capped off his fine game with a goal too. I thought he played really well in the heart of the midfield there for South this week. But like I said, their game plan worked. It was hard. It was tough. And just as we see there, them celebrating Rob Parker, the captain, he was a rock at the back for South Adelaide, and everything that Croatia threw at them, he was there to defend. So I think a couple of things went their way. Obviously, their game plan really worked for them, and everyone was on their game. So, but that's what South need every week. Unfortunately for them, now they're in the position they're in, they need that every week. So, and they've got a tough game coming up.
We'll have a final look at the NPL table. Modbury Jets sitting top just by the point against Metro Stars. Comets following closely behind, as is Campbelltown, both on 26 points. Going towards the bottom, South Adelaide on 9 points and Adelaide Olympic on 14, both sitting in those relegation spots just ahead of those two, FK Beograd and Adelaide United and Croydon, and even the rest of the table above them, really. As we said, it's so tight.
And that's one thing I did want to say is that not only with the sides sort of the bottom, but the top sides, the top four, it seemed like none of them want to win the league. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
They seem to be trying to do. They're trying to do everything possible not to win it. Like Modbury, they've only won one in their last 5. Metro Stars won one in their last 5. If you look at it in the top 4. The two sides that have got the most form is Campbelltown. They've won 2 in the last 5, and Comets have won 2 in the last 5. So it's like, are you trying to win the league, or are you just trying to make it tight? Like, I can't work it out. Like, none of them are grabbing the league by the scruff of the neck and going, let's do this. And the only ones that are currently Adelaide City, who are in 5th. So it's fascinating. And I think they've got a winnable game this weekend against Raiders, who are obviously not in the best of form. They've only won 1 in 5. So I'm sort of going, like, guys, does anyone actually want to win this league, or are you all trying to just keep it as close as possible to the last couple of rounds? So I can't quite understand what's going on.
The only thing I'd add to that as well is that a lot of those top 4 sides have played against each other this week. They don't play. None of them are playing against each other. I think it's the first week that none of them have played each other in quite some time. But yeah, Adelaide City are the only side in that top 4 that are really taking it by the scruff of the neck, as you said.
Yeah.
I'm muted again. I can't believe it. If it stays like this, I'm very much looking forward to the final day of the season. I think, as we all are, I would more than love a final day scenario where we're all at different grounds, watching different games, trying to keep updates on the table, who's finishing where. Very much looking forward to it. Alessio, before we move on to the qualifying 2, did I see that as well, that it's 8-0 in that game, Telmakovsky scoring?
He did, yeah. He just scored again. He had a penalty save and scored the rebound. So there's about 10 minutes to go now. I think Dom Costanzo might have just come off, but yeah, he just scored his second of the game. And now it's 8-0.
Very interesting. Finally, for results, the Australia Cup qualifying final 2 between Campbelltown City and Adelaide Comets. David, me and you were there for that fine cup night between those two sides, and Comets just couldn't get it in the back of the net. And by the looks of it, you forgot you were even there.
No, I remembered I was there, but I wasn't expecting you to talk about it. I thought we were moving on to predictions. So I'm sitting here in my bed ready for my predictions. So we're talking about the Australia Cup game between Comets and Campbelltown. That was like,
yes.
Was that just last week, or was that?
It was a week ago today.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That feels like
tonight.
Like, yeah, well, that's amazing, because that feels like it was longer ago than that. What, you just want general comment on it, don't you? You're not asking for anything.
Yeah, really.
That. Yeah. So look, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's for me, doing this gig that we've got is a bit of a privilege still, and it's still a bit of an honor, I suppose, if that's not too corny to say. I've been doing this kind of stuff, I suppose, for the radio for about 5 years, but getting involved in these kind of later stages of cup competitions at this level is, for me, is still a bit of a, I don't know, sort of pinch myself a little bit. So it feels I feel very fortunate to be in the position that we're in, or I'm in, to be able to go to these games, not only watch them, but also get the chance to make comments on them. And nobody's complained so far. Yeah, from memory, this was quite a tight affair, but Campbelltown arguably the better over the piece for me. 2-0, wasn't it? Gosh, I can't even remember. This was only a week ago. You're kidding me. It was a long ball for the first goal, wasn't it? Came from the came from the goal kick, didn't it? But
Yeah, I'm not finding that.
what are we looking at? We're looking at the second half here.
Yeah, I can't be bothered finding that. There's
Okay,
no
don't
highlights.
worry
there.
about finding it. Look, it was a long ball over the top from memory. Mark Marino with a volley from an Alex Mullen, fine specimen of a man, with a chip over the top. Marino's gone onto it, kept his eye on the ball, and for a striker to score. He'd obviously had a glance at the goal. He knew where the goal was, but it's coming over the top. He's kept his eye on the ball, and then he's guided it to the far post, past Vaughan for the first goal. Second goal was the set piece, of course. Again, Marino, edge of the box. And I tell you something, Campbelltown City did exactly the same move on Saturday against Olympic. And it was the exact same set piece there, and then to the edge of the D, and then Marino's hit it. They did exactly the same thing against Olympic on Saturday with Marino having a shot, but it was blocked. It didn't get through at all. Look, it would have been great to have a bigger crowd, maybe, if I could just say that quietly. But it was a cold sort of Wednesday night. Hopefully the final, whenever that's played, is an entertaining encounter and a good advert for our game. But loved every minute of it. And that's I'm somewhat beside myself, aren't I?
6th of July is that date we're all looking forward to for the Federation Cup final, under 18s, reserves and seniors. So that's only
3 weeks.
What's that? That's 3 weeks. 3 weeks' time is the cup final already. So very much looking forward to that one. Now, on to predictions, the fun part. Starting with State League 2, of course, only women's football this week is the cup final, so we'll do those last. So only the 3 top-tier men's leagues to predict this week, starting with State League 2. Alessio is ready, which is perfect. Eastern United versus Adelaide University. I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
I'm going an upset. So I'm actually going to go an Eastern United 2-1 win.
I also fancy an upset, a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Alessio. He's muted too. He knows how it
I'm going
feels.
to go a 3-1 uni win.
Okay. Gawler Eagles versus Hills Hawks, a bottom of the table clash. This one at Gawler. I think I'll go for Eagles in this one. 2-0. Bird Derby. It's a Bird Derby.
Avian.
Yeah, the
I was waiting
Derby.
for you to catch on to that,
the
Sam.
Avian Derby. The Avian Derby. I love that.
I'm going to 3-3 draw.
Wow.
Yeah, just both teams can score goals. Like they're not afraid of scoring. So
I'm going to go for a result that probably favours Mount Barker. I'm going to go for an Adelaide Hills win in this one. They haven't won for a while. I think there will be a lot of goals in it, maybe a 4-3. I'm going to go for an Adelaide Hills Hawks win, 4-3, which probably is a good result for Mount Barker, right?
I think the best result would be a draw because they're only they're 1 point above, or one's got 1 point more than the other. I think.
7 and 6.
Yeah, so I think a draw would be good for either of them to stay as far away as they can. But I think it'll be tough at Gawler, especially this rain as well that's happening at the end of this week. That pitch is not going to like that very much. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw in this one.
Pontian Eagles versus Port Pirates. I'll go for Pontian, the form side, 3-0.
yeah, Pontian's at home, 5 wins on the trot at the moment, so I can see. I'll go a 4-1 win. I know Port have got a few of their boys back. Their injured players are back, but I still think Pontian's at home is a whole nother story. So Pontian's for 4-1.
It's a Pontian win for me too, but kind of close, just 2-1.
I was just looking at their previous result. They beat them 4-1 at Port Pirates last time. And I think they're going to be similar to what Seb said. I think it's going to be 3-1 to Pontian.
Mute.
Yeah, David, you're very nice to me, and I very much appreciate that because you could be very annoying, and I appreciate that in a person. Noarlunga United, fresh off their defeat to Mount Barker United against Mowbray Vista. I think I'll go Vista in this one, 3-1.
Yeah, Mowbray Vista for me. Even though the pitch at Noarlunga, that's going to be an interesting one to see how that holds up this week with the amount of rain. It's been raining heavy tonight down this way. And there is more rain to come. So it'll be interesting to see how Noarlunga's pitch holds up. But I still got to go for a Mowbray Vista win. And it's for me, I'm going to go out on a limb and go 4-2.
You said 4-2 Vista, sorry?
Is that 9-0? Sorry, let's
4-2. I was going to say, is that 9-0?
Yeah, it is. It wasn't Temelkovsky, though, but it's another player. But did you say 4-2 Vista or 4-2 Noarlunga?
4-2 Vista.
Yeah, okay, all good.
I
David,
forgot who's next.
It's hard to go past Vista in this game. I think Noarlunga are a wee bit unpredictable, aren't they? They are the side that beat Adelaide Uni just 3 weeks ago, but they're also the team that lost to Mount Barker, third bottom of the league, and to Seaford, who are 9th. So it wouldn't surprise me if Noarlunga win this. I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm going to play it safe and go for a Mowbray win, 2-0.
Yeah, what I found out from some of the players at Noarlunga as well is because they've just had this renovation, they've got most of their home games now for the second half of the season. So they've got quite a few games there, which is also quite unfortunate that it's in the winter time on a grass pitch. So they're going to have a lot of games in that sludge at the moment. But I think they could definitely do something against Mowbray Vista. I'm going to go a 4-2 Mowbray Vista win as well, the same as Mark.
Next up, Northern Demons versus Cove FC. I always get confused. Is this is a distance derby, but it's not the distance derby. Am I correct?
I think
That's right.
Further
That
away?
is correct.
Seaford's further, but this is still
Seaford's the furthest south. Yeah, okay. It is a distance derby, but Seaford is the furthest south.
To be fair, Gawler versus Northern Demons is a distance derby, so I can't really say too much. I think I'll go 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking in line with you, Seb. Cove are coming off. They didn't play last week. 3 wins before that. Demons 4 wins in the last 5. So it's an interesting one. But up there, it's never easy travelling up there. So I'm actually, like you, Seb, I'm actually going to go to a 2-2 draw.
I'm going to go for a Cove win. I'll make it 3-2. Yeah, that's it. Cove win 3-2.
Yeah, just looking at the previous result, when this fixture happened, the reverse round at the start of the season, it was 4-3 to Cove with a 95th minute winner from Ben Visser. So that was one of the, I think both of them were quite close to the top 2 in the league. Now chase Adelaide Uni. So I think they're definitely, both of them are back to that form now as well. I'm actually going to go a 3-2 Demons win for this one.
Very, very interesting. And finally up, Mount Barker versus Seaford Rangers. Let me just look at the table. That might influence me.
Mount Barker on 13 points, Seaford on 16 points.
Wow, you really know about the whereabouts of Mount Barker, don't you?
Well, I've just got the table in front of me.
Oh, fair enough. I'll back you this week, Alessio. I'm the only one that tends to do it, so I'll do it again. 2-0.
You're not the only one that backs them, especially if you're just backing them for a draw. 2-2. Did you say 2-0? 2-0. I'm going to. My apologies.
I was being even more nicer.
I'm also going to back Mount Barker this week. I think I back them every so often, don't I? Maybe I do, but I have a
Maybe at the start of the season it might have been a bit nicer, but
hey,
at the start of the season though, because I can't remember. I've got my book here with all the predictions, and I don't think I've written the word Mount Barker with a result for like a long time. So,
well, I'm going to back Mount Barker this week, coming off the back of that splendid 3-1 victory over Noarlunga. They are going to romp into Seaford. Is it away? Is that at Seaford?
It's at home.
It's at home. Okay, they're still going to romp to home to play Seaford, coming off the back of a 5-1 loss. They will be absolutely dejected. It's Mount Barker for me, and it's a convincing 3-0 win at the Summit Sports Complex, or whatever it's called. Mount Barker, all the way, 3-0. Write that one down, Alessio.
Yeah.
Mark, are you a part of this Mount Barker train?
Mount Barker don't have a train, mate. You told me last week there were no other trains but the Salisbury train. So there's no train. No, look, I'm actually going to go a Mount Barker win as well. I'm actually going to go a 2-1 Mount Barker win because I think there's a few Mount Barker players that have got a point to prove. Because there's a few of them that have moved on from Seaford in the year. I know that the coaching staff aren't there anymore at Seaford, the ones that were there when the boys from Mount Barker moved. However, I still think they've got a point to prove, and I think that will help. And I think Mednovsky will score again this week, and it will be 2-1.
Yeah, those two players, Alex Mednovsky and Cameron Mazidula, two centre backs in our side, and they've been they were both that linked up for the goal on the weekend. 2 corners from Cam onto 2 head of Alex Mednovsky. But I think, this is going to be a major test for us. Again, we haven't had a result in 2 games in a row all season. So that's the big hope for us this week that we can do that. And as you can see with the results, most of our results have happened at home as well. So it just gives us all the more confidence. So I'm going to go 3-1 Mount Barker win.
I was going to say, I reckon it's the first time that we've all gone Mount Barker, but I was going to say it before.
All gone for Barker.
and it would have been funny if we were all like, oh yeah, Mount Barker will win. Alessio's just like, no, 1-1.
Boys been bad at training. I think we're going to lose.
Actually, Alessio, you're the only one that's actually selected Mount Barker to concede a goal. Because haven't I gone for 3-0? Seb's gone for 2-0.
Yeah.
I went 2-1.
You went 1 as well. Okay.
Well, I know the stats.
I went 2-1.
Your defenders.
I know the stats more of us. We haven't kept a clean sheet all season. So if that's anything to go by, it probably might just sneak one in. I mean, I think the goal on the weekend was like 90th minute, the last free kick. But other than that, I think they're a good side to see from set pieces. Mark can tell you that as well. And they did it against us last time where they scored a late equaliser from a free kick. And then they had a late chance, which our keeper saved just off the line from a free kick as well. So with those centre backs they have as well, is it the Swedish one at the back, Mark?
Anders, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to be very dangerous from set pieces, and hopefully we can deal with it now that we've poked some of their players.
On to State League 1. West Torrens Burkalla versus Adelaide Monia Cobras. I'll go Burkalla in this 2-1. But I am very weary of the new manager bounce, which tends to occur.
Well, it depends on when the new manager gets installed. That's the question. He might not come in this week. We don't know when Cobras, or if they're going to announce it this week, or if they're still to be decided. At this stage, like I said, I've heard a rumor of who it's going to be, but Cobras haven't announced anything. How long he's been working with them? Has he been working with them this week? So for me, I'm going Burkalla 3-1. But like I said, I think Cobra's new manager bounce will kick in next week. Because I think it will give him a little bit more time to see these players. Like I said, he might be there this week. I just don't know at this stage. Like I said, I'm not 100% confirmed that they have appointed someone yet.
If the new manager that you hear about is me, you'd let me know, right?
Of course I will.
Okay, cool.
Are
Of
we
course,
sure it's
yeah,
not
no,
Mark?
I'll let you know as soon as
Are we-
I'll let you
are we
know.
sure Mark
I'll
isn't
confirm.
speaking cryptically?
No, it's certainly not me. That's for sure.
I don't know if this guy's been working for them for a while. He's had some long travels. Having to come down from wherever he's coming from. Come and train these boys.
No, look, I can confirm. I can 100% confirm that it is not me.
Well, that is
Or
good
me.
news for Adelaide Cobras.
Exactly.
Back to the business at hand. I am going to go for a Burkalla win in this one, 2-1.
I'm going to go Bacala 3-0.
Next up, top versus bottom in Playford versus Adelaide victory. I think I'll go Playford. I don't know if this is like a predictable scoreline, but it's like if I say 4-0 or like a high scoring win, is that too predictable, do you think, or no? Too easy, I guess is more the word.
I think it's just a matter of who can guess how many goals they're going to score. Is who's going to get the most points here.
You've doubled down on what I was saying.
Well, I mean, I think some of the things we've heard this week, obviously losing their coach, a couple of players in departing as well. Maybe they're almost okay with finishing bottom and getting relegated, going to start fresh next year with what their plans are. But I think, especially at Playford, in front of their home fans, which are a known vocal, I think they're just going to run right at the moment. Playford have in the last few games haven't scored as many goals as they used to. We've seen that they've done in the past 2 draws, a 0-0 and a 1-1. So I think the floodgates are ready to be open. I think it's going to be this weekend. Sorry, I reckon it's going to be a 5-0 win for Playford.
Both going
Playford-
5-0.
I think so.
Playford
I
win.
was going.
I said 5.
I was going to go 6-0
Oh,
to victory. No, I'm
David.
only kidding. To Playford.
David, you now have a choice. You either one up us again, or you go completely on your own.
Playford will win this one. I think Victory will get a goal. They might even get 2 goals, but Playford will get 4 or 5. I'm going to go for a 5-2.
Love goals, love goals.
I tell you what, it'd be hilarious if it finishes a nil or draw.
It won't.
I'm not commentating this weekend, so I don't think it will be. West Adelaide versus Cumberland United. I think I'll go West Adelaide on this one. 2-1 though. This game as well, being played
Let me guess, it's being played at Seaford.
in the west of Seaford.
In the west of Seaford.
Yes, so their home ground for this week down at Seaford Rangers.
It's just
I still think they'll win 2-1.
southwest, but at least it's to the left of the city.
It's more west than Mount Barker.
Look, I'm going to go a 2-2 draw. Both are coming off 2 wins on the trot, so their form actually is identical. So 2 wins, 2 losses, and a win. So I'm going a 2-2 draw.
I'm going to go for a West Adelaide win in a tight, cagey affair. It'll just be 1-0 West Adelaide.
I'm going to go a 1-1 draw in this one.
Fulham United versus Sturt Lions. Fulham have just fallen off as of late, so I think I'll back a Sturt Lions win 2-0.
Yeah, again, I think Sturt still the form team in the league. Fulham only 1 win in 5, so for me, it's a Sturt win. I think it's going to be a 3-1 Sturt win.
Sturt win for me too. Similar scoreline. I'll go for 3-1 as well. They're the form side. Yeah, everything you said, Mark. Everything you said. 3-1 for Sturt.
Well, it's the battle of West Beach Parks, the former tenants versus the current tenants. But I'm going to continue the predictions. I'm going to go Sturt 2-1. I think it'll be closer than you think. But I missed your scoreline, David. What was it, Sturt?
I just went for 3-1, same as Mark.
Yeah. Okay. All good.
On to what's next? Salisbury United versus Western Strikers. 3-0. You know where I'm going with this. A State League 2 grand final rematch. Need I say no more?
You're on the train. You're on the choo-choo, aren't you?
Toot.
Where's this? Is this at Salisbury's ground?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to go Salisbury. Salisbury win as well. They're good form at the moment, scoring goals. I'm going to go a 2-1 win.
What was your scoreline, Seb, again?
I don't know.
Did you just say?
I'm gonna say 2-0.
Yeah. You definitely said Salisbury. I just forgot what it was, the scoreline.
I don't think I even did say Salisbury. I think you've just automatically know that by now. So
yeah, as soon as you say something to do with a train, we know you're on the train. We know you're on the Seaford train. It's all good. Salisbury train, sorry.
The Seaford train.
Yeah, there's 2 trains. I remember there's a train down at Seaford too.
Yeah, it takes a long while to get down there. David.
My turn. I'm going to go for. I'm actually going to go for a draw in this one. I think this is Western Strikers. Well, obviously, it's a big game for both teams. Strikers in 11th win this, and they can get themselves out of those bottom 2 spots. Massive game for Salisbury if they want to keep in touch with the top 3. Then again, it's final series here, isn't it? You don't need to finish. You don't need to finish top of the table to get promotion. So I think Western Strikers will be up. Western Strikers will be up for this in a big way. I'm going to go for an upset. I'm going to go for one of my famous upsets, which is the draw 1-1.
Last up for State League 1, Vipers FC versus Adelaide Blue Eagles. I'm going to pick an actual upset here, David.
Wow.
2-0 Vipers. No, 2-1 Vipers.
I'm going to go Blue Eagles. I think they scored 4 last week. Yes, they've been in a bit of a funk, but maybe that'll change now that they've got that 4-0 win under their belt. So I'm going to go for Blue Eagles 2-1.
I think it is the kind of game where you could potentially get an upset. I think Vipers do well against the big sides and maybe struggle a little bit. I haven't got the results in front of me. I'm just making this up, but I think maybe they lift their game when they play the big teams. That's my impression of them. But I think this might be a little bit difficult for them, and I'm going to go for Blue Eagles. Actually, I'll go for another upset. I'll go for a 2-2 draw. I was going to go for Blue Eagles, but I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm going to go a 3-2 win for Blue Eagles.
That's it for State League 1. Second to last, the men's MPL, South Adelaide versus Campbelltown. I normally say who's commentating these games, but I don't remember. This is David? David, it's you.
Yep, it's me.
I'll go for a 2-2. No, I want points. I'm going to go 2-1 Campbelltown. I look too much on the bright side of life sometimes, and I think if I want to be more competitive with this, tipping, I need to actually think realistically sometimes. So I'm gonna Campbelltown.
I think I'm a bit guilty of the same as well, Seb. I think I sometimes dream of upsets more often than I probably need to if I'm going to do well in this tipping comp. And I would. This is the kind of game where I might have thought a draw, but I'm not. I think normal service will resume. I think South Adelaide might get beat here, and Campbelltown will run away with the points in a convincing 3-0 win. Although Campbelltown on Saturday, the game I was at against Olympic, had a poor second half, and Olympic are 11th. So I'm bearing that in mind. But yeah, Campbelltown will win, I think.
It also doesn't help with the predictions when you've got Big Dog Karachi down there going, "Oh, we should have a forfeit for last. We should have a forfeit for last," and then guess who's in dead last? Doesn't help.
A forfeit or a prize. One
or well, yeah, it's me or Mark then. There's no in between.
You don't get any prizes for finishing mid-table.
You can make finals if you finish mid-table.
Who's bottom?
I think Seb's bottom at the moment, but it's pretty close between you and Seb, I think. Let me find it.
For the wooden spoon.
It's like 10 points difference.
Okay, and how far
Oh,
ahead
geez,
are
I
you?
can't say that.
How far ahead are you, Alessio?
Uh,
I can't read that either. Just read
9 points.
You need to
above.
read it out, Alessio.
So
Mark
Mark
has 114 points.
Yeah, I've got 96. David 87. Seb 77.
Oh, so you're within reach, Alessio.
I'm
Thanks,
further
David.
away than you and Seb are of me. So
Okay. Carry on.
Anyway,
we digress.
we'll continue.
Campbelltown, South Adelaide. What is David's scoreline?
I've gone for a Campbelltown 3-0 win.
Oh yeah. And Mark.
I'm actually going to go a draw here. I'm going to go a 2-2 draw because I know Campbelltown, they started off really well last week. They're not in the best of forms. I mean, 2 wins and 2 draws in 5. But as David said, they let Olympic back into the game on the weekend. So, and if Souths turn up and play like they did against Raiders from the weekend, then I think they could they could do something. Both teams can score, but we've seen both teams can concede. So I'm going to sit on the fence and go 2-2 draw.
I'm going to go a 4-1 Campbelltown win. I also wonder, I don't think Josh Murray was in the lineup for Campbelltown on the weekend, David. And I wonder if that's a suspension or injury maybe. But
He warmed up, but yeah, he didn't come on.
he wasn't on the bench.
Was he on the bench?
Actually, I don't think he was, but he was out there. He was warming up with them. I'm sure he was.
He definitely didn't play.
That's got me thinking because I'm sure he was stretching and warming up.
Yeah, he wasn't on the bench and wasn't starting. So
maybe he did something in the warm up. I don't know.
So hopefully he gets back.
Pay more attention, shouldn't I?
Back amongst the goals, but yeah, 4-1 Campbelltown for me.
Next up, Croydon versus Para Hills. This one, Connie's got the big double header, the big trip from Croydon to Adelaide Olympic. Hopefully he gets there in time. Para Hills for me in this one, 3-1.
I'm going to go a Croydon win too. I'm going to go a Croydon 2-1 win. Andre Cole to score. I just think, yeah, they might. Coming off a good win last week, I think Croydon are going to get the win and just push themselves a few points away from that, further away from that bottom 2.
It's a really hard one to pick, this, isn't it? I'm going to go for a draw, I think. 2-2, because I can't make up my mind. I'm sort of leaning towards Para Hills win, but I'm not convinced. So I'll go for a draw 2-2.
I'm going to go Para Hills 4-2 win.
Adelaide Comets versus FK Beergrad. This one is John. I forgot to say as well, all games covered this weekend, by the way. Another great effort from all of us. All games in the MPL covered this weekend. So all these games will have commentary. Adelaide Comets versus FK Beergrad. I'll go Comets on this one, 3-0.
Comets for me too. 2-0.
Yeah, Comets for me as well. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Beergrad have got a goal in them, but I think Comets will take the win.
Yeah, this is at Service FM. I'm going to go 3-1 Comets as well.
Easy done. That one, Metro Stars versus Adelaide United. This one is me. I'm going to go for... I do say this unironically, considering Adelaide United's recent results, but I could see this actually being a 3-3 or a 4-3 again. But I even say that out of not even taking into consideration recent Adelaide United results almost. I probably would have said that anyway between these two.
So you're saying 3-3?
Metro to win for 3-2. David.
So okay, I'm going to go. I'm actually going to go for a Metro win in this. Like, Metro's form over the last 5 games isn't great. They've had 1 draw and 4. No, they've had 4 draws and 1 win. But those draws have been against Modbury Jets. They've been against Campbelltown. They've been against Comets. So 3 of their 4 draws. Yeah, they've all been against sides in the top side of the top half of the table. So I guess what I'm saying is that the recent form isn't very good, but I think the data is misleading because that those recent games have been against top sides. I think they'll beat Adelaide United, who are a little bit inconsistent. They're scoring very well, so I think they'll get a few. I think this might be a 4-3 or a 4-2 or something. But I'll go Metro Stars 4-2. There you go.
I'm in the same vein as you, David, where Adelaide United can score, but they also concede. So I was actually going to go 4-3.
Why do you think I keep doing them, guys? I think this is my 3rd week in a row doing Adelaide. Not even on purpose, to be honest. It just so happens that these are the games.
So you're going Metro 4-3?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to go Metro 2-0. Just I feel like no Nagamatsu is going to be a big thing for them this week. I don't know how they're also going to find their goals. Who's going to play up top there this week either? Maybe Fortunato gets a run in and Barbiero's the lone striker. I'm not sure. Or something else they would play with the wingers coming in and maybe a winger coming in. But yeah, I'm going to go Metro 2-0.
That's the thing. No Nagamatsu, no Tattoo away on international duty. A few players missing for both sides. So an interesting one to come. David, up to you at Adelaide City Park against Adelaide Croatia Raiders. You've been looking forward to this one.
I'm very excited about this because I have been keenly following Adelaide City's form since they got their act together after losing, 7 in a row. And I was at the game that they broke their duck and got themselves back on track, and obviously find it quite exciting to watch their progress ever since. Plus, I like going up to Adelaide City Park. It's a nice wee ground, and I'm still in the market for a free top if Adelaide City officials are watching.
As am I.
Yep. I'm going to go for... They look great. They've got them sitting there at the barbecue thing, and they look great. That old black and white striped top with the Italian colours flashing the collar. It looks great. Extra large. I'm going to go for... I'm going to go for... It's probably not an extra large, probably just a large. I'm being a bit unkind. I'm going to go for an Adelaide City win in this. I think their form is just too good just now. Croatia Raiders a little bit hard to predict, and their form isn't great. And this is the game that will launch Adelaide City's final assault on a top 2 finish. There you go. You've heard it. You've heard it now. So Adelaide City to win, score 3-0.
I think I'll go with a City 3-2.
I'm going City 3-1.
I'm going to go City 2-0.
Last up for the men's NPL, Adelaide Olympic versus Modbury Jets. An interesting one. I think this one with Connie. Olympic, you don't really know what to expect sometimes. And as you said, sort of the top sides don't really seem to want to win. So I might go a 2-2 draw.
I'm going to go on an upset. I'm going to go Olympic 2-1.
A real upset.
Yeah, after the way they played, because they played in the Cup obviously only a couple of weeks ago. As I said then, I think if Olympic had a striker that night, they would have won that game with the chances they created at the end of the game. They come back well against Campbelltown. So I'm actually going to go for an upset and go Olympic 2-1.
I don't think that's entirely unreasonable, Mark. If Olympic if they continue the first half of this game where they left off at Campbelltown City in the second half of the game last weekend, I think Olympic are perfectly capable of an upset here. But Olympic are hard to pick, and I think maybe Modbury are just too much of a challenge. I think Modbury are probably be too good. I didn't phrase that correctly the first time. I think Modbury will be too good, and Modbury will win this 2-0. But I think you're right. I wouldn't write Olympic off based on what I saw in the second half of their game against Campbelltown City 4 days ago.
Yeah, I think similarly to how they're going to miss Nagamatsu at Metro, I think the blow might be a little bit softened at Modbury Jets. Obviously, Tim Henderson missed that game last week with an injury, so if he might just be a like-for-like replacement for Mullen at the back. And I heard that Jordan O'Doherty might not be too far away as well. And Liam McCabe, I think, is about a couple of weeks away as well. So I think they're going to have quite a few players coming back Modbury at the right time when the Cup gets into the round of 32. So I'm going to go Modbury 2-1.
Men's MPL covered. Last up, the WMPL/WSL Cup semi-finals, although it's just WMPL teams left. Double header at Service FM Stadium, 12 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. You'll hear I was going to say lovely, but you're going to hit my voice as displayed there over the speakers there at the stadium if you do head down. So come down and watch. 12 o'clock game, Football SA NTC versus Sturt Lions. Of course, these games can go to extra time. David?
Yeah, you haven't mentioned what day.
Sunday,
okay.
Sunday, 12 p.m.
Cool.
I haven't thought of my prediction yet, so who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going to go the upset. I'm going to go a Sturt win in extra time, just because I love a good cup set. They come off a great result last week with a 6-6-all draw, so I'm just going to go for Sturt in extra time.
Sturt on penalties for me. 0-0.
I think Sturt, based on what I saw at the weekend, are perfectly capable of winning this game. But I don't think I think it'll be very close. It'll go 120 minutes. It won't go to penalties, and Sturt will win 3-3. Sturt will win 3. Sturt will win 4-3.
You were so confident.
Sturt will win 3-0. Oh, it's a good job you can't record this.
Alessio.
I'm going to say 2-0 to NTC in normal time.
And he's also decided to show off with his signed soccer
Move, yeah.
background. I see, yeah.
That's where my charger was on my laptop.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, sure. 2:30 p.m.
Kind of looks like your own signature. Have you signed your own shirts and framed them? Is that that's your own signature?
He's actually just scribbled all over the soccer shirt. The second game, the 2:30 p.m. kickoff, West Adelaide versus Adelaide Comets, a really interesting one. West Adelaide actually yet to beat Comets this year, although West Adelaide top of the table. And again, I'm undecided, so someone else go first.
I'm going to go penalties. It's going to go all the way to penalties, and I think Comets on penalties.
I think this will go 120 minutes, and I think Comets will beat West Adelaide. So West Adelaide did win 4-0 against Metro United at the game on Saturday night that I commentated on with Louis Sava. But Metro United actually showed me that West Adelaide were the better team, but Metro United for 50 minutes were as good as them, or at least matched them. A bit slow to start with, but they matched them for most of that first half. So I think Comets can probably get something out of this. I think they'll be up for it, and I think they'll beat West Adelaide 4-3. I'll go for 4-3 in 120 minutes.
Got my work cut out for me. I think a 2-1 win for West Adelaide.
Yeah, I was going to think of something similar. I was going to say 3-2 to West Adelaide in this one.
Easy done. Very much look forward to those games. And with that, we are pretty much done. David, we must come to you now. I've been looking forward to this. Your walking story.
I went out and trained with a club last night, and I went out there and I did a bit of a warm up because it already started. I didn't want to get there early because I know a few of them, so I thought I'll just come up when they've already started. And I went round the track myself, and I could tell there was a few eyes on me. Who's the new guy, sort of thing. So I ran up the wing like chariots of fire. Looked very graceful in my movement, and I got up to the corner flag and I was absolutely shattered. So I had to stop, but I didn't want the onlookers knowing that I was absolutely shattered. So I started doing all these stretches like this as I was walking along the base behind the goal, and then I got to the corner flag and I ran chariots of fire all down the other side till I got to the corner flag again, and I was absolutely shattered. I was completely out of breath. So I paused for a while and then started doing all of these stretches again and walking along the narrow width of the park. So that was my funny story. It's probably not as funny now as it was at the time, but I was absolutely knackered. And then I did a training drill or 2 or 3 with them, thoroughly enjoyed myself, and then I played a scratch match.
Get on the score sheet.
I did actually. I scored the first goal in the. So they put me in the middle of midfield. No, they put me in the middle of midfield, and a lovely ball was threaded through by a new best friend called Phil. I don't know his second name. He threaded the ball through to me, and I looked up, saw the goalkeeper was coming out to me, and I put it to my right, his left, low, and just inside the post on the right-hand side, and everybody went, "Yay!"
Was this an open training? Were there crowds there?
No, everybody in my head went, "Yay!" So it was with FC Summit. So I thought somebody would have asked me who it was with. It was with FC Summit.
And the coach then went, sign him up.
I was asked if I'd be interested in signing up, and I said I thought the deadline had passed. He said, no, you've got to the 30th of June, so you have 11 more days. I said, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can recover. It's the recovery between games for me. That's my problem. But I really enjoyed it, and I think a week and more. Honestly, I feel great today, though. So I'm a bit older, I suppose, and so I go out and I get my exercise walking the dog, and I just wanted something that was a bit more physical, a bit more of a challenge, and a bit more get the cardiovascular thing going. So I really pushed myself, and I felt good after it, and I felt quite good today. A little bit sore, but I felt quite good today. But it would be another week to 10 days before I'd be able to go back and do it again.
Is it a division side, or is it you're going to be lining up next to Matt Halliday?
Well, I was playing against. I was playing against him because I was selected for the reserve group, and we were playing a training match against their. Actually, it was interesting because he didn't call them the first team; he called them the seniors. It's the first time I've played against a team of guys who are younger than me, and they're all called seniors in a long time. But he was in midfield. He was opposing me, and he smelled beautiful. He smelled beautiful, and I can tell you that because I spent most of the night about 3 yards behind him going, trying to keep up with him.
So what you're telling us is you scored against Matt Halliday, who was an MPL.
I scored against the team that Matt Halliday was playing in, but I didn't score against Matt Halliday. I scored against Matt Halliday's goalkeeper.
Okay. Was he trying to mark? Or
hey,
you got away from your marker then, or when you scored?
When we were in possession, I pressed forward as instructed by the trainer, if you call them trainers now. And my opponent, who shall remain nameless, was pressing the other way. So I was picked up by defenders rather than midfielders. I didn't think we'd be talking about this in quite as much detail as we have. But I felt good. I felt really good. There's another guy trains with them who plays in the State League One team. So he lives up in the hills and has an arrangement by which he trains with them on a Tuesday night and then must do the second night or the third night, however many nights they do, down in the city.
What club does he play for?
I can't disclose that information unless you.
What colours does he play in for his club?
No, I can't disclose that because I don't know. Because the thing is, like, you turn up there and the guys got so I know about 2 or 3 guys. I played a few games for FC Summit in the past, just like pre-season matches, just about keeping fit for me. You know, it's 6 years since I've played competitively, and I'm quite happy to. I just want to keep fit, and it's a good social thing as well for me. And if I can keep up with them, and I'm not letting people down, I'm quite keen to do it. So. But when you go along, these guys are all going, "Oh, we've got this guy who trains with us, and he plays in the big leagues in the town." But they don't follow the big leagues, so they don't really know who it is. They go, "Oh yeah, he plays in that state league competition." So he wasn't there last night. It must have been his off night. This guy, but he plays in a state. I worked out that he's a state league 1 player, and I do know the club, but I don't know the guy because nobody else knew the guy that I was talking to at the time.
Well, what a great walking story that ended up.
Yeah. The whole point was I was absolutely after 15 minutes I had to
you were
sit down.
unfit. The moral of the story is that you were unfit.
Yeah.
To finish off, anything else from you guys to finish us, Mark, Alessio?
I'll just do the shout out to TJ Goalkeeping Gloves for sponsoring our Goalkeeper of the Season award. So any gloves or any goalkeeping needs, reach out to Tazzy and TJ Gloves or myself, and I can point you in the right direction. And I said my sort of leading candidate for Goalkeeper of the Year is actually out injured at the moment, which has put a bit of a spanner in the works. But no, shout out to TJ, and like I said, if you need any gloves or any training needs or anything like that, reach out, and he'll be able to sort you out.
Very thankful for that. That's it for us, basically. Before we finish off, we might as well just give our final predictions. Tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m., Scotland, Switzerland. David, you'll go last to outro the podcast, I guess. Alessio, your prediction. Scotland, Switzerland. They need to win pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Switzerland are just one of those teams, and I've seen some of the ins and outs there that got those players who just rock up when there's a tournament, like Jan Sommer or Xherdan Shaqiri, Granit Xhaka. They just all seem to just pop out the woodworks when a tournament comes along.
I can't believe you say that. Goalkeeper union, man. Jan Sommer only plays for Inter Milan. He's absolute world class. Like, he's an absolute top draw goalkeeper, and you just say he comes out at tournament stage, man. That's Ochoa from Mexico. That's tournament player right there.
I mean, I haven't heard much.
And Xhaka just won the Bundesliga in an undefeated side for the whole season.
Yeah, but I mean, just like those type of players.
That's a bit harsh.
I don't know. I think it's going to be 2-0 Switzerland. Unfortunately, I think if Scotland are going to get something out, it might be against that Hungary team who looked a little bit off against Switzerland. But I think even 3 points might be enough to get out of the group with a third place team. So I think they're going to get it in their last game, Scotland, and leave their fans waiting for the last minute.
I think I went Switzerland 3-1. I think I did in the end.
I haven't actually predicted yet, to be honest. But this is probably going to be
for the. Oh, you better get onto it. Yeah, you got to get onto it for our comms team tipping comp for the Euros. I think I tipped Switzerland 3-1.
I think I'll go. See, David's checking now.
Where are you coming in that one, Seb?
Listen,
where are you coming in that tipping comp, Seb?
These things don't matter. It's all fun and games in the end. That's all that matters. Actually, no. I'm not having this. I am equal last with Johnny, right? And David's only 4 points in front.
Good work.
And Connie's only 9. And again, you're basically cheating, and you're top, so you don't count. So, yes.
I'm not sure how I'm cheating, but it's all good.
1-0 Scotland for me. I don't know if that's what I'll predict in my thing, but to make David happy, I'll say this is my heart prediction. But whatever I put in my tipping is my head. But my heart says 1-0 Scotland. David, to finish us off, to I guess yeah, really just your thoughts and what you think will happen tomorrow against Switzerland.
So I've just looked the odds up. Switzerland are the favourites, and they're actually the favourites by some way as well. And I imagine those odds have been made as a result of the pipe here. Those odds have put up with the performance against Germany, and I don't know that they reflect accurately. I think Scotland are capable of winning this if they're on the form. If they play like they did against Spain in the qualifiers, they'll win it easy. If they play like they did against Germany last week, they'll get absolutely pumped. I'm hopeful though. I'm hopeful that they've learned something from the Germany game. I'm hopeful they'll come out fired up, and I think they can win. I really do. I think they can win it, but it's I don't know. I don't know.
You're already disappointed. They haven't even played yet.
I know, but honestly, I was on such a downer after that game, the Germany game. It really was so disheartening. It's the first time I've turned a Scotland game off, I think, and walked away, and that I can recall ever. Even when I've seen them play poorly and lost, I've still stuck there to the end. I couldn't bear to watch it, and I went back to bed. And football does that to you, I think. But okay, I can't not back them, so I'm going to back them, but I'm only going to back them 2-1. I don't think, 2-1 win for Scotland. My cousin Martin is there with his son James, and I hope they have a brilliant time. And a couple of my pals from the Queen's Park supporters group are also there. They're all based in Bochum, and they're going to Cologne. They're probably all there now in the town square, and I hope they all have a magic time. I know they did when they went down to Munich. It'll be a great experience for them, even if they do get lost, even if they do get battered. But 2-1 to Scotland. There you go.
Alessio, any of your cousins there?
There's a couple of people, not that I know, there's a couple of people from Mount Barker who'll be there though. Our vice captain Jack Vanderhack just set off, and one of our reserve / first team players, Zach McGrath, they're on their way. But I think they're supporting Netherlands. So
you couldn't have told this when the predictions were happening that your players down.
One of them is.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Couldn't have told us you were missing players.
We're a strong squad now. I think that a lot of people can make a difference no matter what. So, but yeah, they'll be out until I think they come back for the last 3 games or 2 games of the season, maybe. I'm not sure if they're there for the whole tournament, but yeah, they got a few tickets to the game. So I told him. I think he brought his long sleeve.
I love the fact you.
So he's going to be.
I love the fact that you said his name. What was your captain's name?
Jack Vanderhack.
And then you had to tell us that he was from the Netherlands. I'm pretty sure as soon as you put a van in front of a name like that, we know they're from Holland. Well, we know they're from the Netherlands.
I mean, if you look at the team now, there's not many vans.
True.
I used to play with Zach McGrath's father. He was a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
Mark McGrath.
He's the nephew of the McGrath medal at Mount Barker as well. This is the nephew. I think Michael McGrath played for us last year. He was the son, I think. But yeah, there's quite a few of them that have been around the club. But yeah.
Well, Scotland, big game tomorrow. David, hope you get good enough rest. We should probably let you rest so you can wake up in time. So we look forward.
I'm not as excited as I was before. It's all gone from me. But I'm on my way from misery to happiness.
That is great to hear. Thank you.
The amount of teams that have gone on to do well in the tournament that lost their first game is so many. Australia.
World Cup 2022. Argentina.
Australia, we lost. We had 2 good results in the next 2. Argentina, the same. Yeah.
I think this year it's the first year Portugal, England, France, Germany have all won their first game of the tournament. Like all the teams the same day or same match round. because a lot of times they all lose their first rounds.
I still
So
think
we're trying to give you the silver lining, David. We're trying to the silver linings for you, mate.
you guys are you're very kind to me, and I appreciate it. But honestly, I honestly in such a downer after that first game that, you know, as long as they're all having fun there, and that's the main thing, I think. You know, but Scotland aren't going to win the tournament if they can get 4 points. If they can get, even if they draw tonight but beat Hungary, get the 4 points, then I guess it makes up for it a little bit. But I was just, it was disheartening.
Well, we look forward to next week. What a great note to end it on. We look forward to next week, this weekend's games. Make sure you get out and watch. Make sure you follow the podcast, subscribe, follow on Spotify, Facebook, and everything. You three, thank you so much for joining me again tonight. It was a pleasure to have your company. And I'll see you again next week.
Oh, good. Cheers for hosting.
See you later.